Welcome back to Catalyst University. My name is Kevin Tokoph, and in the previous video, we talked all about first rib syndrome, which generally speaking refers to a hypomobile first rib. We talked about the theory of it, we talked about the assessment of it, and went in a great bit of detail about that. In this video and the next few, we're going to be transitioning into the treatment of a hypomobile first rib. And this video is going to be all about manual mobilizations. We're going to talk about how to do those in detail, but there's a few things that we need to consider first. So I'm going to start here in this video with a brief review of what we ended with in the last video. And that was all about decision making. So we do our evaluation and we rule out other conditions that might be masquerading as a first rib issue, such as the neck, the shoulder, the upper back, etc., etc. And we come to one of three general conditions. We have first rib non-radicular syndrome, we have first rib radicular syndrome, and not shown here would just simply be a hypomobile first rib that is a secondary impairment to something else that's primary. Maybe the person has neck pain with mobility deficits, but they also have a hypomobile first rib. And in all three of those cases, we're going to want to mobilize the first rib. And there's of course other treatments that we might consider alongside that, but one of the things you might do is a manual mobilization of the first rib. Now, instead of just jumping into the mobilizations, we need to talk about a few things first. So we have a hypomobile first rib. What we need to understand is that the supine position is really the best position in which we can mobilize that first rib. And that's because when the person is sitting upright, they're using a lot of postural muscles to be able to do so. Not to mention, when you're sitting, you have to balance in sitting, and so albeit it's very small balance component, there is a balance component. And so muscles are going to be activated to hold them in that position. And so that can make it harder to access the first rib in that position. It can still be done, but it's not as good as the supine position. So we need to ask ourselves a question. Can I precisely and easily access the first rib with the patient in supine? If you get them down in that position and you're not really able to hit the first rib very well, well, then you probably need to default to a seated first rib mobilization, and that's going to be what we demonstrate and talk about in the next video. But if you can easily access the first rib with the patient in supine, then the supine mobilizations are the best way to go. And there's two different types of mobilizations you can do here, and the prior that we're going to talk about are probably the ones you learned about in PT school. Now, I don't want you to think of this low/high severity and irritability situation as a hard and fast rule, okay? Some patients respond better to one way, some patients respond better to another way. But it just so happens that when the patient's first rib severity is pretty low, their irritability is low, you can more often just go in and go gung-ho and just start pushing on that first rib, assuming you're using good technique. But when their severity and irritability of pain is higher, you sometimes have to do a lot more to finesse the first rib into getting more mobile, and it requires a little bit more sometimes than just going in and pushing on that first rib, and we'll talk about that just a little bit later in this video. To start, I want to talk about the general mobilizations and manipulations that you probably would have learned about in PT school. Let's get into that right now. So right here, I'm going to show you how to assess mobility of the first rib in supine. So I'm going to be assessing her left first rib. So I also want to make sure with my right hand that I'm cradling the occiput of her head so I can control her head with my right hand. What I will usually do when I'm doing this is have the head slightly side bended toward that side, toward the left, and then slightly rotated away. You don't have to have it exactly like that. That's just a personal preference of mine. What I'm going to do is with my second MCP right around that proximal phalanx, I'm going to contact her first rib. One way you can think about it is if I just take my hand right under here and I just slide it right under. Unless the person has a huge amount of thoracic kyphosis, if you just slide it right there, the second MCP should contact the first rib. If the person has a huge amount of kyphosis and or a significant amount of upper trap tightness, you might have to do this in sitting. It's going to be really hard to hit that first rib without just having to dig in with your thumb, and that's not comfortable. So my direction is I am aiming this toward the contralateral ASIS, the contralateral hip. And I don't want to be contacting the first rib too laterally near the acromion. I want to have it a little bit more medially, so I'm assessing more that costotransverse joint where it articulates with T1. And once I've got good contact there, I'm just springing it, driving it, and gliding it towards, in this case, the right ASIS, okay? And then, of course, we would test this on the opposite side and compare side-to-side differences. I can also go straight into mobilizations here. And these are not going to be combined with breathing. These are just going to be straight graded Maitland mobilizations. This is where the test becomes the treatment. So again, make sure you got firm contact on that first rib as we've described before, and then you just graded mobilizations, kind of at the pace to row, row, row your boat towards the contralateral ASIS. And sometimes what we say, the therapeutic dose, 3 sets of 30 seconds. Sometimes for graded mobilizations of the first rib, the mobilizations themselves don't seem to cut it. You might need to do a manipulation, or maybe the person asks for it. So to do the manipulation, we're going to sink in the same way we do the mobilization, but we're going to hold that essentially at a grade 4 position. And we're going to make sure this is okay in the pre-manipulative hold. Does this feel okay? Mm-hmm. And we always want to get consent before we do the thrust. Can I do this thrust here? Get a little stretch on that first rib?
Yes.
And then it's just going to be a very quick thrust towards the contralateral hip. That's all it was. If you are putting your entire body weight into this, that's too much force. So once again, drive in here. Is this okay if I do a little thrust here?
Yes.
Always get that consent, and then towards the contralateral hip. That's all it is. And then, of course, reset, reassess that mobility, test, treat, retest, and actually this one did improve in mobility. Now, as I mentioned earlier, these general mobilizations and manipulations of the first rib, where you're really just pushing on it, trying to get it moving better, these tend to work very well when you have low severity, low irritability cases. But when pain is really high, just pushing on it may be a little bit too much for the patient. And so what we can do is we can coordinate the first rib's motion with the normal breathing cycle. So when you inhale, the ribs all elevate, generally speaking. And when you exhale, they all come back down. And so what we can essentially do is use that breathing and kind of coordinate our mobilization with the natural movement of the first rib during that breathing cycle. And that's what we're going to talk about right now. We're going to be demonstrating here several different variations of the first rib mobilization on the left side here. Now, if you're just doing a straight graded mobilization, we're going to contact that first rib near its costotransverse joint, and then it's just graded mobilizations towards the right hip. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Now, some people's first ribs don't really respond as well to that type of mobilization or just doing a straight manipulation that way. So what you can do is you can use breathing to your advantage. So what I'm going to do first, especially for the highly severe, highly irritable patient, I'm going to put a little light pressure on that first rib, and I'm going to just hold that exact pressure. I'm not going to release it. I'm not going to add any. And I'm going to have the patient inhale through their nose and then blow out the candle. Let's do a couple cycles of that. Now, there's no set amount of repetitions that you do for that, but again, for the highly severe, highly irritable patient where pushing on the first rib isn't too fun, we usually do somewhere between 5 and 8 of those. Then what I'll do is I'll progress a little bit, and we'll do the same thing, but when she exhales, I'm going to follow the first rib down, and when she inhales, I'm going to take off a little bit of the pressure. So I'm going to move my hand with it. So go ahead, inhale through your nose, and blow out the candle, following it down a little bit. And then inhale through the nose, and then exhale, blow out the candle, following it down. You might find as we're doing this that, keep going, that that first rib starts to move a little bit better when we add in this breathing technique. As we get further and further along and I feel that that first rib is starting to move better, I might not release as much on the inhale and keep a higher pressure down, but still following it down on the exhale. And it is moving a lot better here. Now, for doing manipulations, I could certainly go in, exactly same setup, and I could just do a very, very quick, high velocity, low amplitude thrust towards the right hip. Always get consent if you're gonna do that. Can I do that?
Yes.
There we go, and real quick, doesn't take much. But what I find works oftentimes a lot better is to utilize the breathing with it. So what we're gonna do is an end range exhalation manipulation. What that means is I'm gonna do the exact same manipulation I just did there, but I'm gonna do it at the tail end of the exhale, right when the exhale is almost done, and utilize that breathing to our advantage. So let me get back on the first rib. So go ahead and inhale through the nose, and then exhale, follow it down, and then quick thrust right at the end there. Let's do that again. Inhale, exhale, follow this down, quick end range exhalation manipulation. And that is various ways you can perform first rib mobilizations and manipulations. And again, if the patient is pretty low severity, low irritability, you might just be able to go in and do straight graded mobs or a manipulation. But if you need to kind of coax that first rib to move a little bit better before you do any of those things, adding in the breathing can have a substantial benefit. Now, a couple notes here before we conclude the video. Number one, don't think that just because you have a low severity, low irritability case that you can't actually combine the mobilizations with the breathing. The breathing coordination actually works amazing, and I find it very strange that they don't teach that in PT school or really many continuing ed courses. If you combine the breathing with the mobilizations, it gets amazing results. It just so happens that people with the high severity and irritability tend to respond to that a little better because you're finessing that first rib mobilization with something that normally occurs, breathing, okay? Point number two, always use the test, treat, retest model. So if there was a particular motion that was painful, maybe it was a neck motion, a shoulder motion, or if it's as simple as just having the patient sit up and see how it feels and get a subjective pain response, always use that retest so you know if your treatment was effective. Now, manual mobilizations. The patient really can't do that themselves at home, and realistically, it should be done by a qualified provider. So what we want to do is give the patient exercises that they can do at home to reinforce the gains that they've made in session. So in the next couple of videos, we're going to be talking about just that. The first one will be over banded mobilizations with movement for the first rib, and the last one will be barbell mobilizations with movement. And that's a type of mobilization that can be done for more your higher level individual who has access to a barbell and a squat rack, presumably as they go to the gym, they're doing this as a warm-up, etc., etc. We'll get to that in a couple of videos. But hopefully this video gave you a good understanding about how to manually mobilize the first rib. Please make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification button for notifications for all videos in the future. Thank you so much.